Welcome to Tech in the Car. This is a Volvo XC40 Recharge electric SUV, and I really like this car. It's got a ton of cool technology. It's really simple to drive. I'm going to show you around it, show you what's cool, show you the features in this video. This model is the Twin Pro, but there's also the Core model and the Plus. The Core starts from £619 a month or £49,950. If you want the Plus, it's an extra £3,000, and if you want the Pro, then it's an extra £6,750 to get to this trim that I have here. The £619 a month is something called Care by Volvo, which is a special subscription where you can basically rent the car for periods of time, I think 3 months, 6 months, and longer periods as well, and it includes servicing and any fixed costs as well, and you're not tied in on a 3 or 4 year PCP or anything like that. So it's an interesting way of doing it. It's another option for this car. This car is very quick, and that's because there's 2 electric motors, one on the front and one on the back. They both have 204 horsepower and 330 Newton meters of torque, which when combined equal that 408 horsepower and 660 Newton meters of torque. So this is a fast car. It also has a really good range. WLTP is 256 miles, and I've had no problems driving that and hitting those ranges which it suggests are the WLTP numbers. This car has been very reliable, and because it's got Android Automotive in this car, this is the closest to Tesla's system that I've seen for knowing how far you're going, how much battery power you're going to need, and it also tells you how long you need to charge to get to your next destination. Android Automotive is a huge plus on this car, and you'll see it when you get inside the car. But now let's look at some design features of this car. So being an electric car, it doesn't have a grille. It has this covered over front plate. I suppose you could call it a grille, I don't know what you'd call it. And underneath the Volvo logo there is a front camera, because this car on the Twin Pro has a 360-degree camera, which I'll also show you when we get inside. It means from the design you can tell this is an electric car, but it still looks very Volvo, and it's got this sleek look for an SUV, even though this is not a small SUV. This is a medium-sized SUV, and it's got a ton of space in the back of the car. So there's a lot of practicality in there, and it's also very, very comfortable to drive. Let's have a look now at the headlight. So this has got the famous Thor's headlight daytime running lights, and you can see it looks like Thor's hammer. If you're into Marvel, you probably recognize that, and this has been a Volvo thing for a long time, and it's a very unique daytime running light that's very recognizable. When you see a car coming behind you, you know it's a Volvo. So I love the light design. These of course are LED, and they're really, really good lights for seeing in the dark. This car has a range of 256 miles WLTP, and that's thanks to the 78 kilowatt hour battery which is in this car. And it's great to see those battery sizes increasing and also the range increasing. It's competitive with other cars in the sector. This car is available in 8 different colors, included solid, metallic, and premium metallic. This is Onyx Black, and it's a really nice, it's metallic, but it actually looks like it has kind of a crystal effect, and you can see the flex in it. As this is the Pro model, this has 20-inch alloys. The other models come with 19-inch alloys. This looks really good on the 20-inch. They're diamond cut, and they're very imposing. Let's talk about the differences in the trim. So the Plus, which is an extra £3,000, gets front and rear park assist, a heated steering wheel, a heat pump, which is great when using the app and is much more efficient, power and heated driver memory seats, and a power passenger seat. Got the Pro, which is an extra £6,750. You get the 20-inch V-spoke wheels, Harman Kardon 600-watt speakers, 12 of them, power tilt and panoramic sunroof, 360-degree and parking cameras, all of the driver assistant features, and dimming mirrors. Now you're probably wondering, what is under the bonnet of the Volvo XC40? Is there a frunk or a fruit? And the answer is yes, there is. And under here, when you open it up, there's space for your Type 2 charging cable and any other accessories. In actual fact, it's decent size, and you could probably fit a couple of small bags in here. How much space is there in the boot of the XC40? Well, it has an automatic tailgate, which is really cool. And back here, we've got 452 litres, which is a lot of space. There's tether points and hooks, so you can fit all your stuff in here. And having that electric tailgate means that in the winter, when it's dirty, you don't have to get your hands dirty touching the car at all to put stuff in the back, and that is a very handy thing. I love an electric tailgate. So the next thing you might be wondering is, how much space is there in the back of the XC40? Well, there is a lot of space in the back of the XC40. I think you can see that here. I've got plenty of space both above my head and in front of me. It's a very, very spacious back of the car. We got netting on the inside of the seats here. We've got quite small bins at the back here for the back doors. That's a bit surprising, but there's still space there. And we've got a USB down there, and we've got heated rear seats as well, which is unusual in most cars. And also something which is really cool about this car is these headrests fold down with the press of a button, which looks really, really cool. It's a really good place to be, even with the door closed. This is the interior of the Volvo XC40 Recharge Twin Pro, and all XC40s have a similar design inside the car. That isn't unique to this car, but overall, looking at this car interior, it's a really, really nice interior. These seats aren't actually leather, they're a fake leather, but they look like leather and they feel really comfortable. Being the Twin Pro model, these are electric and they're adjustable, fully electric, both the passenger and the driver side. So that's really, really easy to get comfortable. And on this side, you also have a memory function as well. This car has a 600-watt Harman Kardon sound system, which has got 12 speakers, and it has interior lighting. It's very interesting interior lighting, though. It's not like you would expect. It's underneath here, and it basically reflects off this silver metallic design, which goes across the dashboard. So it has a really interesting look. Can't change the colors though, it's one color, but that's a tiny little thing in what is a fantastic interior. It runs Android Automotive. This is Android just like on your Samsung phone or your Pixel phone inside the car. And that means full access to the Google Play Store, to Google Maps, to YouTube Music, to Spotify, and to more apps as more companies start supporting Android Automotive. It means that you have a really great system and you have the Google Assistant in the car as well. Okay, Google, how many miles of range do I have left?
You can drive for about 198 miles with the remaining charge.
Isn't that cool? You can ask the car how much range is left. Not only that, obviously, Google Maps on the center console also means Google Maps in the driver's display, something that people have wanted for literally ever. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but for a very long time, having Google Maps inside the driver's display is a huge deal. Getting those directions that you know are there and reliable on the driver display is a really, really good thing. And the driver's display is really easy and simple to understand. There aren't tons of different settings. You basically have a map view with your speed on the side, or a view without the map if you don't want the map. It's just so simple and easy to use, but yet it's got all the latest technology and features can easily be added thanks to updates to Android. Looking at other things in the car here, we have a really, really nice, simple volume knob and a pause play button there. We have our climate control buttons here for the demisting of the windows and for forwards and backwards. However, the actual climate controls are at the bottom of the touchscreen. They're easy to use and they're always there. So even though they're not actually physical buttons, you can do it very easily on the screen. Plus, you can also tell Google, okay, Google, set the air conditioning to 17 degrees.
Got it. Changing the aircon to 17 degrees.
And it actually works, unlike some voice recognition systems, because it's Google. Okay, Google, turn off the air conditioning.
Sure, turning off the aircon.
How cool is that? Controlling that with your voice is amazing. Finding the range with your voice is amazing. And it's Google. Now, one thing this car doesn't have is CarPlay or Android Auto. Now, obviously, it doesn't need Android Auto, but it does mean that you're going back to the time where you have to connect your phone with Bluetooth to the car. Not that you'd really care, if I'm honest with you, because if you've got Google Maps in the car, you're not going to need anything else from your phone anyway, and the free streaming with YouTube and Spotify. The steering wheel of this car is really, really nice. The controls that Volvo has put on the steering wheel, which operate with Android Automotive, are really simple. You've got our cruise control up and down and set buttons and the distance on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, you've got your menu and your music, play and pause, your voice activation button if you don't want to use your commands like, okay, Google, cancel. And then you've got a button which lets you swap through the menus. So the inside of this car is super nice, high quality, very environmentally friendly, and it has everything you can need in terms of technology. In the Volvo XC40 Recharge Twin Pro. So this car doesn't have gear shift levers like some other electric cars. You can't adjust the regen. It is what it is. Likewise, there's no modes. There's no economy mode. There's no sports mode. It's just you get in and you drive, and the car does everything for you. This is very much like the way Tesla does things. This is not the way that most other manufacturers do things. Now, is that better or not? I guess that's open to interpretation if you think it's better or not. It's definitely easier. There's no doubt that driving the car, not having to think about the mode, helps. I also think it probably potentially encourages slightly better driving as well, just because if you're not fiddling around with all those different settings, it's probably better. And of course, everything in this car is controlled, as you've already seen, by Google, which means that you don't have to worry again about touching the controls. I can ask the car my range, I can ask it to stop places, and you know it's going to be accurate. It's not going to be sending you on a wild goose chase like some other systems might do. So that's already two great big advantages here. The fact that it's simple to drive and that you don't have to worry that the data you have for your navigation is wrong. And of course, we've got the navigation in front of us here with Google Maps between the dials in the center of the car. So that's another really useful thing. The Volvo Pilot system for driver assistance is really, really good. It keeps the car in the center of the lane. It handles really well. It does wonder occasionally when you go around the corner, and because it's a bigger car, that is a bit more than on a smaller car, but that's an issue any car has when it's larger in size. But it's very reliable, and it's really easy to turn on and turn off. The control button in the middle of the steering wheel on the left-hand side is super, super central. And it's very easy to tell what's going on. You've got a steering wheel icon in the middle of the display, and then it's on, it will go yellow, and it will tell you it's on. And if it's not yellow, then it's not on. In fact, that's it telling me now that I am over the middle of the lane. So it works, and it works very, very well. This car has 408 horsepower, and it's got two 204 horsepower motors on the front and back with 330 newton meters of torque. That means it's a really fast car, and even though it's big and it's an SUV, the fact that it's able to move that quickly, 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds, is really impressive. And you can feel that torque and that power when you drive it, when you try and accelerate, when you try and overtake. This car actually surprises a lot with how fast it actually feels. And that's unusual. Most electric cars do have the torque, but this has the power as well. Unless we're talking like high-end, like the cars which cost 70, 80,000 or more, in which case they have the power and the torque. This car is, like I said, not an inexpensive car. As spec, the car I'm in is about £56,000, and it has performance to match. So comfortable, very fast, lots of great technology, awesome to drive. This is a really good car. I recommend anyone checks it out. What about my tech in the car score? Let's check on that. What's my tech in the car score for this Volvo XC40 Recharge and this model, the Twin Pro? Well, first of all, let's talk about economy, the environment. It's electric, it's got great range. It gets 5 out of 5 for that. As far as driver assistance and technology inside, 5 out of 5. It's got Android Automotive, Google Maps. It can tell you when your charge is running low and when to stop, all stuff which should be standard on all electric cars. The connectivity, this car gets 5 out of 5. It includes a SIM card. Volvo includes free streaming and data, so you can use Spotify or YouTube Music on Android Automotive. You can access it with an app and see where it is and track its status and check its charge. And it's got everything you could want in a modern car. In terms of parking, it gets 4 out of 5. It's got a 360 camera, but it's a larger car, so it's a bit more tricky to park than a smaller car. But it's got everything you could need there. In terms of comfort, 4 out of 5. It's a really comfortable car. I have to leave 1 point for something like a limousine at some point. And then, of course, we have the value. So I'm going to give this 4 out of 5. Now, I feel like that might be a tiny bit generous because obviously, even at its starting price of just under £50,000, this is a more expensive car than some of the other cars I've had on the channel. But I really think when you take into consideration all of the features, all of the technology, the comfort, the ride, as a package, this is still a 4 out of 5 for value. What does that give us overall? That gives us 27 out of 30 in the tech in the car score. I really, really like the Volvo XC40. I really enjoyed driving it. I strongly recommend this car. Go check one out. Give this video a like if you found it useful. subscribe for more, and don't forget to check out my infotainment guide and my video on Android Automotive. You might find it interesting.